We can't talk to Steve Keirn without bringing up the Fabulous Ones, and we can't mention the Fabulous Ones without discussing some of the glamour shots, the photographs that you took and sold. And do you hold the record, you and Stan, of making the most money at the gimmick table, do you think, in Memphis?
We blew them away. James, I mean, you're an intelligent guy. And here's the thing. If you were to think about people buying your merchandise and you're a baby face and you're going to sell pictures, who do you think would be the most interested in buying pictures of men? And Stan and I thought, well, of course, girls, women. I mean, guys would buy you a picture, but not as much as women would. So what are you gonna focus your picture around? Are you gonna focus your pictures around selling them to guys and being a macho look and trying to, come across as a badass or whatever? Or are you gonna sell pictures that you go, hey, this is kind of like calendar stuff. This is kind of like, hey, I don't know about later on in life if I'm going to like these pictures floating around, but for the time being, it became very competitive. And you have to remember who we were competing with. And once we started and we clicked, then all of a sudden a whole new set of tag teams started being created, including the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Rockers. I mean, it just, the Fantastics, it just started snowballing. So now we're in competition at those picture tables too. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of like don't really value that too much, but the story and the honest psychology is who can we sell the pictures to and how can we make the most money? And that's what we designed it. And Jimmy Cornette, that was his first job. He was our photographer. So he would come up with ideas. And sometimes I'd look at Stan and go, man, some of these pictures, it's like borderline. But it's just like in my years of school, if I'd have had a mullet and got my high school graduation picture made with a mullet, 30 years later, young people are going to come to them and say, oh, wow, look at you had hair and you had a mullet and you're this and that. So you just have to accept your youth and you have to accept the ignorance sometimes. And I mean, when I had FCW, a lot of talent would come up and say, hey, coach, what's this picture of you?
You didn't sign them for them. See you later. I've got to say, I'm going to stick up for you, doubly so, because one, you said you blew everyone else away with the money that you made, and two, Jerry Lawler started copying you, then Bill Dundee started copying you, and then Dutch even told me that he was talked into one of these more racy glamour shots to aim at the women, sort of like the topless thing. The thing is, with Dutch, you couldn't tell if he was topless or not because he was so hairy. It looks like he's wearing a sweater either way.
That's true. But you saw what other guys were doing. You saw who was making the money. You saw what people were interested in buying. And whether you liked it or not, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And so you imitate what's successful.
Give me a week takings from the photos. Just like an average week. Let's say you've got third set of photos or whatever. 1 week at the gimmick tables. How much would you and Stan bring in from them? From just the photos.
Well, it varied, and it's to embellish it or to make it a constant thing. It kind of depended on a couple of variables, and that's what angle were we in, what part of the show we had monopolized. Did we have a new video out to music? Because that's one of the things that made us more creative than beating enhancement guys. And then the picture actually selling. Now, we tried a lot of different things in merchandise. We tried T-shirts. We tried hats. We tried several different things. And it was just, it was a lot of work to carry that stuff. And then you didn't have the right size. You didn't have the right color. I mean, there were so many reasons people didn't do it. So we'd limit ourselves to pictures. And then we came up with a concept of bandanas. It's just a square piece of material that you could stack 1,000 and carry it in your hand into the building, and you could sell them for $2 a piece, and it cost you about 2 cents to make them. So we had runs where we would make quite a bit of money, and then we had runs that were, I give you an example. A lot of the territories were seasonal to the point where there was downslides. Like when school would start, some of your weekly towns, the attendance would go down because people had to put kids in school, get them back in regimented time things. And then Christmas, when people are saving money and they're not spending money on entertainment. So you had to pick and choose. But in the red hot times in the summer when kids are out of school and there's nothing to do and people go to wrestling and all that, and the arenas were full. And I mean, we do sometimes up to $4,000 or $5,000 a piece a week on merchandise. And that was far more than we were making. I mean, Jerry Jarrett, I'd say, there's pictures in the book and then in history too of us having, cars. Like we bought Corvettes, 65 and a 67 classic Corvettes. And we bought that with picture money. I bought an old yellow truck that looked like ZZ Top truck. Bought it from picture money. It was just extra money. What we call it now, and what younger people, well, I don't know if the young guys do, but probably I got outdated myself, but I call it mailbox money. And mailbox money is coming for something you don't really do physically. Mm-hmm. It's giving you an opportunity to make money, like autograph sessions, signings, different things, merchandise, action figures came into play in the AWA. We were part of the first action figures ever, Stan and I, with Remco Toys. And so, you get these opportunities, and that was one of the territories where you had an opportunity and you either did it or you didn't. Some guys didn't want to waste time with it. They didn't do so well. Some guys that would be their main thing, and they'd hustle. But, you had to go out there and, be personable. Yeah. That's part of it. You can't go out there with an attitude and sell things because people recognize that. It doesn't take long to spread like fire, word of mouth through fans. But if you're a good person and, generally appreciated fans, and one thing that I learned from Florida was we learned to appreciate the fans. And I went to a lot of territories where guys had come in complaining about the fans. They didn't react. They didn't. And I just look at them and says, maybe it was you. And they didn't want to hear that. But at the same time, as if there's no fans, there's no money. If there's no money, you don't have a job. So let's get real. You should be thanking them for coming. You should walk all the way to the ring and look at, thank you for that. Thank you very much. Like Elvis Presley. Oh, thank you for buying that ticket every week. You're in the same seat. Thank you, brother. So where's the real appreciation? The appreciation is turning back around and taking an opportunity and thanking them for doing things. But sometimes they're not that way.